After this video, you officially can call me a control freak, but I really prefer taking away my pink glasses whenever it comes to the corporate job. We are living in the world of AI replacement to the real people, and also a massive layoffs happening all around the world in different companies. And I'm, as an employee of Amazon, know how it can happen one day without being prepared. It actually can break you down. Because let's be real, honestly, corporate job doesn't own you anything. As long as your contract is active, you are together. As soon as it's terminated, you need to say goodbye and move on. So how I treat this as the business purely. First of all, I try to document everything. We are starting new year right now, and tomorrow I'm coming back to my work, so it means that tomorrow, as the first thing, I would create my page. I use OneNote for that. I create separate tabs per each week and tracking all the work I've done. I can create separate video for you about how I structure my working notes to make it easy for me to navigate through and stay on top of the information and the level of details I need to share with other stakeholders. But also another tab that I always create at the beginning of the year, it's my goals for the work and also keeping a track of all the accomplishments I've done so far. It helps me at the end year review. It helps me to be consistent on my personal brand, on my professional brand and my work, and that's always helped me to also boost my confidence whenever I need to present something or whenever I need to apply for another job or another role or another transition somewhere. So that's why I always try to document all the achievements I have through the year, to be aware about them, to not forget, to acknowledge everything I've done so far, and always keeping the confidentiality, of course, aside, because we are not officially allowed to share any documents, and I don't want to risk that. But I always document for myself all the key moments when I have achieved some great results, and trying to keep it easily accessible. And also, if you are preparing yourself mentally for a layoff, because sometimes you start hearing some rumors before layoffs actually happening. So if you are in that position and you are watching this video, that should be a good sign for you to actually make sure that you have an access to this information without confidential details from your local device, because I have seen how layoffs happen in real life, and believe me, one day you just got no access to anything that's been in access just a few hours before. So that's why I recommend you to be prepared for that, and I do the same. I'm just duplicating all the information that I can reuse, that can show my track of records and be used in my benefit later on my career journey. Another habit that helps me to be prepared for any changes, reorg changes in my company, that's documenting everything, especially with my manager, in writing. I have a one-on-one file where we collect all the thoughts, all the points we discussed on a regular basis with my line manager. By doing this, I actually solve a few problems. First, I help myself to be more structured and more strategic and more executional whenever I talk to my manager. Second, it helps us both to keep a track of some projects that are long-lasting, and we need to come back to that on certain occasions. And the third point, that actually it helps my manager to get the visibility on my work without the buzzwords, but with real examples, with real data, with real questions that we discussed over that meetings, and we store this information in our one-on-one file where we contribute equally before we meet every time over the one-on-one meeting. So I recommend you do the same. It actually helps you and create the accountability partner, and also make it easier for you to reflect back on the year or quarter achievements that you can just briefly look through this writing. But in general, actually smart way is to always duplicate all the information, all the conversation, all the agreements on writing, to make it clear and acknowledged by both sides that you are getting the same level of understanding of the task, same same level of understanding of the details or timelines, for example. So whenever you need to be protected, make it into writing and thank me later. Another habit or kind of tasks that I give to myself occasionally, it's to keep applying for some jobs. I have a separate discussion with myself what would be my next career move. I still deciding where I want to go, but the main thing that I need to stay on the markets to be able to actually reflect back and always see if I have some skill gap or I'm missing out some good opportunities. And even if I'm applying and receiving the negative results, it also gives me the results that I need to improve something or I need to better work on some specific aspect of applying for a job. I think that in general, it doesn't mean you want to leave. Whenever you like your job or you don't, you find your workplace toxic or super healthy, I think that interviewing as a soft skill is very helpful for you and helps you to stay on top and give you a certain confidence to leave whenever you have a will without waiting for another side to terminate your contract. So that's why I'm not suggesting you to apply for the job and change your role every 6 months. I won't say it's healthy approach, at least it's not my way of approaching my career, but staying on top, being aware about the local trends that are on the local market right now, you would be more aware about the massive changes that are happening and you would be easily adapting to the circumstances when you all of a sudden might need to search for another job. And I'm not talking about constant interviewing like that would combat with your day-to-day job. I'm just talking about 1 or 2 interviews per quarter. It's very realistic KPIs, if you want to call it that way, that you can track for yourself to just keep you challenged a little bit, to not stagnate in your comfort zone constantly, but sometimes come out and see how other companies are doing, and maybe they have to offer you something that you are missing out. Who knows? At least it's worth trying and going for 1 or 2 interviews per quarter. And another thing about going out, it's of course building a relationship with people outside of your company. I think it's very important, especially for those people who relocated, for example, to a new country or to a new city and became a single person in the new circumstances. It's very easy to get into the trap of seeing your colleagues as your friends. But by doing this, you're actually making it very difficult for you to build something outside of your work life, especially if you are going back to the office and you see your colleagues as your friends. It's creating this unhealthy bond, I would say, because you need to have something outside of your work in order to live the full life, because life is not only your job title. Life is something way more than job. So that's why especially if you are new to a city, for example, try to go to some networking event. I know it sounds like it's giving an ick already, even to me, because I hate those speed networking and all the small talks that just draining some energy from me. But I prefer to go really to some events that I'm genuinely interested in and trying to build some even light connections to people who are interesting to me, because through that connections I actually get some intake on another spheres of life, another aspects of life in Berlin, for example, or another industries or another trends even in the local work market. So that's why I highly recommend you to always explore the world, build some relationship with the people outside of your work, or if you see your colleagues as the friends and they are moving on to some other companies, stay in touch with them and see what other opportunities are there in the different companies, and also exchange some thoughts, because that's the people who can understand you better, because you are technically in the one field and you can exchange more thoughtful insights about what are the local trends that you need to follow up. And in case if you would urgently need to search for a job, you would actually have a network where you can connect with people and search for some opportunities that might be given already to you and you haven't seen them yet. And as I said, the most healthy habit that you can do for yourself, regardless if you are going to be impacted by layoff or not, it's building a mindset that you are not your work. Remember this, because it's very important to not associate yourself with the title and the company you are in right now. You are a human being with your interest, with your personal opinions, with your hobbies, with your interests, your preferences, your lifestyle, and do not try to match it all to just one job title that describes your whole personality type. Explore yourself, do some random stuff, sports, arts, museums, travels, whatever you prefer in your life outside of your work, and see yourself through different lenses. Communicate with different people, find other interests rather than just stucking into your work. I know that in Europe it's relatively easier to keep this work-life balance. I know that other countries might lack it and might have a different perception how the work should be perceived in order to get a success on that. I strongly believe that if you work in big organization, for this organization you are just a number. You are just a number. So they should be just a name for you, not the whole life that would end up if your contract all of a sudden would be terminated. It's just a company that gives you money in return on your work. But there is a lot of different companies that would do the same or even give you more. Try to think about that. Share with me your thoughts. What do you think about this mindset that your job is not you, it's just the part of your life? And let's see each other in my next videos. Take care and see you very soon. Bye bye.